I'm Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi. I think I've had a glimpse of the true nature that you describe in one day earlier this year where I woke up without any prelude and everything seemed like I was looking through a different lens. The colours were brighter, the connections with people were more intense, the quality of time was different. I just wanted to stare at the sky and the trees, and if you had told me that someone had put some drugs in my drink, it would have made sense, because that's how it felt like, like I was tripping out. That was blissful to the point of nearly being painful because all of the experience was so intense. But it finished at the end of that day, and the next morning I woke up with normal perception and sort of felt the loss of that intense experience. I wonder if you could explain or perhaps talk about how it is that you can one moment be in that state of perception and then the next day without. I don't think I changed anything. I was not trying to hang on to it with my mind, or it was just gone.
Simply because the state of our mind changes all the time. So that was just a heightened state of mind. It was not the recognition of your true nature. The recognition of your true nature is much less exotic than that.
Okay.
And your true nature is not a state that comes and goes. It's the transparent screen on which your emails, your documents, and your images, and your YouTube clips come and go. It's just the ever-present background of your always changing emails, images, and so on. And it's the emails and the documents and the movies and the images that are colourful and exotic and sometimes strange. But the screen is colourless, it's transparent, it's empty, it's silent. So it's true that sometimes this recognition of our true nature will, as we've been speaking today, can have a very profound impact on your mind and your body. It causes a great relaxation or letting go, and that can sometimes be felt as unusual or exotic experiences in the mind or the body, but that would be the byproduct in the mind and the body of this transparent recognition of your true nature. But the recognition of your true nature is much simpler, much quieter.
Okay, thank you.
It's just a recognition of the presence of awareness that lies continually present in the background of all experience. So you could go there now. You could just ask yourself a question such as, what is it that knows or is aware of my experience? Pause. To find that out, you have to take a step back from your experience. Whatever it is that knows our thoughts is obviously not itself a thought. Take a step back from your thoughts. Whatever it is that knows our feelings and sensations is obviously not a feeling or sensation. Take a step back from your feelings and sensations. And you just come back to the fact of being or being aware. That's it. There's nothing exotic about it. Usually it can happen so quietly, and in fact very often does, that the mind is not present in that recognition. When the mind reappears again, it is affected by that recognition to a degree, sometimes in a very intense degree, the laughing, the crying, the kinds of experiences we've been talking about, but sometimes it can be just a very small effect in the mind, or sometimes not at all. Sometimes the mind takes a few weeks or months to catch up. Maybe sometimes it's a few months before the mind realizes, oh, something's changed. I don't get nearly as upset as I used to. There's much less conflict in my relationships. I don't seem to mind what goes on so much anymore. I'm not continually upset about I just seem to be at peace for no reason. I just seem to be happy most of the time these days. But then 6 months later it notices, what happened? I don't, the mind out wonders, what happened? What changed? It doesn't know. It's like, the example I sometimes use, it's like a headache. You wake up with a headache. And then you go about your day, and then in the evening you notice, oh, the headache gone. When did it go? You don't know when. Did it go at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning? And how did it go? You don't know. You didn't notice it going. You just notice it in retrospect. Oh, I'm free of that pain. Well, it can be as quiet as that. It's not always as quiet as that, but it can be as quiet as that. And in a way it's safest if it is as quiet as that, because then you can never turn around and claim some marvellous enlightenment experience.
No, I think I'd be horrified if it was like Eckhart Tolle sitting on a park bench for years, and I don't know how my family would survive that.
Well, you see, those are the rare occasions where this recognition happens unsolicited and has a very immediate and powerful effect on the mind and the body. So they make good books. And I mean that with no disrespect. I have the greatest respect for Eckhart Tolle. But there's something there to talk about. You know, it's a good story.
Found
sitting on a park bench. It's very interesting. It's fascinating and totally genuine. But many of you know this story. You remember the who was it? Shinryo Suzuki, the Zen teacher, who was asked in one of his meetings, why don't you ever talk about your enlightenment experience? And his wife, who was sitting at the back of the hall, stood up and said, because he never had one. You see, enlightenment is not an experience. It can have an effect on the mind and the body. That's an experience. It can blow your mind apart. It can cause you to sit on a park bench for 2 years. That's an experience. That's something to talk about. But the actual experience itself is transparent. You can't say anything about it. And the most important thing, Caitlin, is that the recognition of our true nature is not an experience. Experiences are thoughts, feelings, sensations. They come and go. It's a recognition of the ever-present background of experience. The example I like to give is the example of when we go to bed at night, we get undressed. We get undressed at night before going to bed. We take off all our clothes, and our naked body is revealed. We don't suddenly become our naked body, and nor is our naked body a marvellous experience. Sorry, I had to hesitate then. you know what I mean? At least from our own subjective point of view, I'm getting into trouble here. The subjective experience of our naked body is just the most ordinary, familiar experience. There's nothing exotic about it at all. In fact, it's so ordinary and intimate and familiar. Most of the time we overlook it in favour of the more colourful aspects of experience, our thoughts, our perceptions, our feelings. It's just the recognition, and it's not as if we were not even in touch with our naked bodies now. All of us are in fact feeling our naked bodies now against the inside of our shirt or our trousers, but it's so subtle compared with the colourful sight of this room or our conversation that we don't notice it. Well, what we did this morning in our meditation was so to speak undressing, taking off all the layers of experience until only our naked being was left. And there's nothing exotic about our naked being. We're actually experiencing it all the time, but it's so quiet that it is outshone by the more colourful aspects of experience. So the awareness of being goes into it's obscured by the awareness of experience. But the awareness of being is actually always present in the background of it, but so quiet. So, and when when it is recognized, it's the quietest recognition that there is, and nothing exotic about it, nothing extraordinary. Just it can be just, oh yes, of course. Why didn't I notice before? I was so busy giving my attention to the objective content of experience. So don't measure your progress by whether or not you've had a marvellous experience.
Okay, thank you.